Welcome to the Nonprofits. For our third and final segment this week, we drink deeply of the Schadenfreude and look at Christians behaving badly. I feel like there should be an animation for that. Christians behaving badly. So Sean Feucht, a Christian nationalist and musician known for organizing large maskless worship events during the pandemic, is now facing serious accusations, not from critics on the outside, but from people who once worked closely with him. Former allies in his ministry, Burn 24/7, have released a detailed open letter accusing Feucht of moral, ethical, financial, and spiritual misconduct. They claim that he misused donations for personal gain, including acquiring at least 10 properties across multiple states. He allegedly raised money under false pretense, like collecting over $200,000 for the persecuted Church of Afghanistan, without a clear plan for how it was going to be used. They also say he inflated his influence, mistreated volunteers, and avoided financial transparency. In fact, a Christian watchdog group has already downgraded his ministry's transparency score from a D to an F. Now, these former insiders are urging a formal investigation into his finances and leadership. Despite the mounting evidence and calls for accountability, Feucht has yet to respond in a meaningful way. This story is from The Friendly Atheist by Hemant Mehta on June 3rd, 2025. And I want to go to AJ first. What are some of these specific accusations that are being leveled against Feucht?
Yeah, I am also having a hard time pronouncing it. I to be honest, I thought it was fuck it, but yeah. So accusations. What is he not being accused of? Will be a much shorter list to go through. Okay,
being a good human, being a productive member of society, contributing to the welfare of others, being helpful and living up to things he's promised. There's tons of things that he hasn't done. What are they accusing that he did?
Sean. We call him Sean because otherwise I might pronounce it completely off. So there is an organization called Ministry Watch, which is a financial watchdog for Christian ministries. And what they do is basically they dig all the dirt out and publish it on their website. And they claim that Sean Feucht, we categorize his ministries as churches after making millions during COVID in order to hide where the money was coming from and where it was going. So he's playing dirty. For example, he has multiple groups that solicit money for exactly the same thing. He's using church funds for personal enrichment, like buying personal properties, including $1 million cabin in Montana where he goes hunting.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah.
Good job.
On top of that, he will often solicit money for random things, like you mentioned earlier, for things that he has no plans of doing, like the $200,000 for the persecuted church in Afghanistan. He lies about the number of volunteers that work with him. He doesn't pay these volunteers when they take roles that will generally be paid roles, right?
Right. So basically unpaid labor, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, there were just so many accusations. Those were the ones that stuck out to me. But I do love the way that Hemant Mehta closed off the article. And I'm going to quote him right now. He said, "Now he'll do what conservative Christians everywhere do these days whenever they're accused of wrongdoing. Deny everything, pretend that Satan is coming after you, treat his critics as liars who hate Jesus, and urge followers to give him even more cash."
Right, that's the solution, right?
Yeah.
You're accused of stealing. The solution is give me more money for my legal defense fund, things like that.
Well, you're obviously a martyr.
That's how you battle the demons.
Go figure. Thank you, AJ. Jason, I know that, so AJ was mentioning this Ministry Watch, but I know that you had some information on some of his former co-workers, so what are they saying now? What are they adding to the mix here? We already have quite a stack of accusations here. What are they piling on top?
Okay, so we got some people in the mix, some actors here. So we got Christy Gafford, we got Peter and Amanda Hartzell. I'm assuming they're some type of team, Liam Bernhard and Richie Booth. They're like the dynamic group of awesome fucking preachers, right? They all worked with Bern 24/7, which again, what AJ was saying, they're a Christian ministry. It was launched by Feucht in 2006 to hold worship gatherings in cities around the world. Booth apparently also worked for other Feucht affiliated groups. They put out this letter and they say that they have, quote, documented proof of long-standing and serious moral, again, ethical, financial, organizational, and governance failures involving Feucht and his other ministries. Now, AJ brought up or I think it was you who brought up, he got graded from a D to an F, what they're saying is the Watchdog group they urge donors to right now withhold giving to the group without more information. And apparently he wasn't filing, the proper IRS paperwork that other nonprofits have to file because he was saying that all of his ministries were churches. Every one of them was a church and therefore exempt from any nonprofit transparency rules. Right. That's the fucking problem that we're dealing with is, these assholes have billboards. Like I live in Houston. Same with AJ. Like we got Joel Osteen down the street. We got billboards of Joel Osteen in all the poorest fucking areas of town. And that's the thing that's funny. He started a billboard campaign about 4 years ago. They are literally in the poorest fucking areas of town. And there's a reason for that. The billboard is also next to the billboard for auto insurance and for this lawyer guy and for the weed store and for all the shit that makes money. So if we're fucking kidding ourselves and saying that these aren't businesses with storefronts and logos that fucking pull in money, then I don't know what we're doing. So as far as I'm concerned, what's going to happen if we follow up with the story, this dude pissed somebody off or got somebody pregnant or somebody didn't come or something. So somebody's butthurt about something or whatever. He gave somebody like an 8-day disease or something. I don't know that they need to take a shot for, get a Q-tip up their dick for or something. I don't know. Maybe somebody has pictures of he's like banging another dude and they're like all sad about it because like they don't want to admit that it's like, butts feel good. I don't know. So look, that's the problem. It's probably butt stuff or money stuff or both. So so whenever
how do you follow up that, right?
Well, when it turns out that Feucht is fucked, then that's I don't know. I'm pretty excited about what's going to happen when the news about Feucht turns up. So.
Well, AJ, I want to jump back to you. Jason was mentioning something about how he's playing kind of fast and loose with the way his organization is defined. Can you shed any more light on that? I know that you kind of looked into that a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's pretty much what Jason was talking about. Like another one accusation added to the list was that, he wasn't filing IRS paperwork that typically is required for nonprofits.
Yeah.
And the reason for this is that he said that all of his ministries are categorized as churches and therefore they're exempt from transparency laws, which technically is correct, but that is bullshit because they may be exempt from transparency laws, but they should not be exempt from other nonprofits laws, and like they should be filing the correct paperwork that they are required to be filing.
Right.
So to me, what will help this type of thing is holding churches accountable.
Yep.
I don't think that we should make churches for profit because that would, open up a whole different kind of worms.
Right.
Those are issues for another day. All right. But I think that
within reason. I mean, I would. I'm sorry, AJ. I'm going to let you finish first. Go ahead and finish your point.
Go ahead.
Please. Yeah. No. I was saying that that I think that removing certain privileges that churches have would be a start. Like they currently are exempt from transparency laws, which means that they're not required to report financial information to the IRS. And so that's where we could start, right? Like remove these transparency laws to where they have to report that. So I don't know. I mean, this guy's personal ministry went from making $250,000 in 2010 to 4.5 million in 2020. That's like just 10 years.
Good job, Sean.
Like, but I agree that they should be held to the same bar as other nonprofits, and I kind of agree with you. I don't think that churches necessarily should be taxed. I know that's kind of a thing in the atheist community, tax the churches, that kind of thing. If they can meet the same standards as other nonprofits, if they can demonstrate a public good, if they show their books, I think this avoiding the transparency is just ridiculous and is clear favoritism, and it's unconstitutional is what it is. But I think that a set of expectations and a set of requirements should be put in place for nonprofits. Like there are a set of, we have to be careful of certain things that we say on the air. We have to, open up our books to the government and say where our money is going and where it's coming from and that kind of thing. And we have to demonstrate that we provide an educational service, a public good, and that kind of thing. If churches want to do that, if they can do that, then I'm fine with churches being nonprofit as well. Now, if they can't demonstrate that, and one could argue that many, if not most, churches would have difficulty demonstrating that kind of thing, especially since the quote unquote good that they're providing is spiritual good and it's magical and it's
non-demonstrable.
Not demonstrable, right? And so if there are a set of expectations and requirements, that's fine. They should apply to everyone. Jason, what are your thoughts there?
Tax the fucking churches.
I had a feeling you were going to go that way.
No, so it's a joke.
The argument that I have against that is that this will allow churches to get involved in politics. Like they will be able to donate massive amounts of money to.
They already are.
Yeah, I know that they are finding their ways around, but if we had transparency laws applied to them, then we will be able to see where they're donating it, and then be like, you can't donate to this and that. So I don't know. That would be kind of a solution. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's like a one size fits all solution. I don't know exactly what it is.
If somebody can show me a 1-to-1 ratio of feeding an unhoused person and telling them a fucking Bible verse, then maybe you could sell me on it.
Right.
But until you can fucking show that to me, then all I can say is tax the fucking churches. That shit is a joke.
Yeah, those would be churches that fail to meet those expectations, right?
If you look into Pew Research now, the most recent Pew Research and all the research about where church money goes, more money at this point is going into fraudulent laundering garbage than is benefiting any fucking human being in any kind of real-time way. Look at the LDS. The LDS at this point, I'm convinced that what we are seeing now and the upsurge of fundamentalist just insanity that we see here in the United States is funded and pushed by the LDS. They are hoarding billions and billions and billions, hoarding them under the guise of being a church. Right. The church is the same as any other abusive governmental structure. It is in the same way. It functions under fucking false authority and has immunity, just like we see with our abusive and disgusting legal and criminal justice system. What we even call a criminal is also echoed in these fucking churches, and they're both evil and they're both wrong, and they both promote free will, which we know is not the case. So as far as I'm concerned, tax the fucking churches. And that's all I got to say at all times, no matter what. or anything religious. Now, that said, man, here's the fucking problem. If you give tax exemptions to fucking churches, at that point, you've crossed the church state barrier, and you are now showing and giving exemptions to things based on the fact that they're a faith practice that has no scientific or social value outside of the insular group that it fucking affects. And even then, generally, those people are being fucking exploited. So,
well, if they can demonstrate that they're doing a public good.
And what's the public good? Are they like feeding the homeless? How are they feeding the homeless?
You're asking, don't ask me. Don't ask me. I'm saying if they can demonstrate that there is a public good being served there,
Yeah, and then they also need to have background checks on their fucking employees.
Well, that's a whole other can of worms.
I'm good with that. Yeah,
that's a whole other can of worms. Yeah, exactly. I want to talk a little bit about privilege here for a minute. So the article's opening paragraph said this, and I quote, "The musician is a COVID super spreader. He exacerbated public health emergencies. He formed an alliance with a domestic terrorist. He held mass baptism with an accused rapist last week. But because he plays Christian music and talks about Jesus, many white evangelicals have basically given him a pass on the extremism." So that was the from the article there. Now, that last sentence is something that we talk about here all the time on the Nonprofits, the idea of unearned respect and trust. We see time and time again that Christians, and it's not just Christians, but that's what we're talking about today, Christians will grant a level of trust to their church leaders and are so often bitten by that trust. And very often it's children that have to pay the price for that trust. So I want to go to AJ first. What are your thoughts on that phenomenon of the unearned trust and respect granted to religious leaders by their flocks?
Honestly, I think it all goes back to the way indoctrination happens from early on in life. Like, that is why they make kiddie Bibles, all right? Mm-hmm. Because it sets the tone.
Right.
You have to follow the authority of this Jesus, God, whatever the Bible verse might say, and for that specific version of the kiddie Bible, like Jesus loves me and all of that stuff. So then you move on to like the teenage versions, and they tell you a few more stories and a few more scary stuff and a few more, if you don't do this, if you don't follow the authority of your Jesus Christ and the people and the pastors and the priests and whatever, then you are going to go to hell. Mm-hmm. So everybody grows up being fucking scared of not responding to authority with anything other than yes, master. And that's it. That's all it is. You grow up thinking that that's the way it has to be. Otherwise, you're going to be shunned from the church. Yep. You're going to be kicked away from your family. You're going to go to hell. You're going to disappoint Jesus. It's like you're worthless without all of that. I don't know what like that circle of religion that they create for you.
Right, exactly. And
that's how they keep people in the church. That's how they keep adults completely ignoring the harms that these church leaders are doing right in front of their eyes.
Yeah. Jason, thank you, AJ. Jason, I want to build on what AJ was saying here. I want to closely related to privileges is this idea of the persecution complex, right? And so Christianity just reeks of the persecution complex. In fact, it's a kind of from their perspective, it's a feature, not a bug, right? It's part of what they develop. And so I want to read another passage from the article, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. So this is also from Hemant Mehta at the Friendly Atheist. He pretends to be persecuted even when he's subject to the same laws as everyone else. And the people who serve on the boards of Feucht's groups don't actually conduct any real oversight. And whenever anyone raises these concerns privately, he defames them, blacklists them, and threatens to sue them. So my question for you, Jason, is, do you think this facade of the persecuted is helping him? Do you think that he's actually getting sympathy? Because he is seeing some pushback from people that he worked with and from this other Christian ministry organization or Ministry Watch organization. But do you think that this idea that he, as you said, he's setting himself up as a martyr? Do you think that's helping his case? I mean, is that the only reason that he's not already in prison?
I wish I had a little more time to think about this, but honestly, when I think about it kind of on the fly, I don't think he has any other choice. And I say that because, I mean, America gets fucking hard for martyrs. I mean, we love a motherfucking martyr. It doesn't matter the quality of the human being. The masses love a person who dies for a cause. Look at all these stupid fucking movies that we get. All the heroes die, and you get this like hero boner, and it's just gross. To me, it's disgusting. And what I think that really shows is a lack of like any like actual life experience. You elevate these people, and you do some heroic thing. But then when you actually see what really happens to, let's say, a soldier or an MMA fighter or a football player or a musician, these people that you elevate, but you're really just what you're doing. You're not elevating them. You're being a useless piece of shit who's trying to live through them. Like, my team, I love that fighter. That's my favorite band. That's my thing. So you just like, you sacrifice these people because you commodify them, because you've been indoctrinated to commodify fucking everything. Everybody is a dollar sign and a value thing related back to you. So of course he has no other thing to do than be the martyr. Well,
he could do the right thing, of course.
What?
I mean, there's always the option that he could stop being a dick, right?
What? Are you serious?
Isn't that are you saying that option's not available to him? Or are you just saying
when would that be
a real option to him? It's ridiculous for me to think that he might do that.
When would a person in this type of spotlight actually do? Like, you have to understand, this person is a role. Like, this isn't a real. I mean, this isn't a real human being. What we're seeing is a production. What we're seeing is a persona. What we're seeing is a thing that he's trying to sell people. We have to look at all these people as products at this point. He's a product that's failing at this point. So he's going to run his product, and then he's going to rebrand himself in 3 to 5 years. That's all that happens. That's what people do. They rebrand. Yeah. Look at Russell Brand. Look at any scumbag that fucks people over. They rebrand themselves.
So annoying.
But do you see what I'm saying? He was he was clearly a piece of shit before, because all of his roles were him just being disgusting to women, and then he's disgusting to women. Oh no, now he's a Christian.
He found Jesus and everything was different, right?
Dude, old Shawnee boy ain't the same. Ain't the different than anybody else. He's the same as everybody else, man. It's the same fucking song and dance. And the sooner we get fucking wise to it, the sooner we can break out of this fucking haze and move on from this shit show that we're being inundated with.
Say, AJ, Jason just said, using very poignant English, that Americans get a boner for martyrs, right? Americans get a boner for martyrs. Is that predominant throughout the world? I mean, you know, you're from South America. What is your experience? Is this martyr complex just a human thing, or is it an American thing?
That's a really good question. You know, and I hadn't actually thought about that. And I'm trying to think of other places that may take it to the same level that America does, but I can't really think of any. Like, the only one I can think of is maybe the Vatican, where Catholicism.
That's kind of their thing, you know. That's kind of their brand, right?
It's kind of like pretty much the same, yeah. And I mean, that's probably where they get it from anyway. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't recall this being the case in Argentina, for example. In Argentina, there's a lot of Catholics, okay, because there's a lot of Italians. But Christianity is not the Christian nationalism that you see here. So this is a completely different brand of Christianity that's very, very scary.
And then we stack a thick layer of American ego on top of that as well. I mean,
how great you are.
Exactly.
It's just like a thick layer of fat in a sandwich or something like that. And it's just like, oh, please come on. But I can't imagine that just magnifies everything 1,000 times.
It's like
the
silly.
whole America First mindset.
It's silly. It just becomes like Hollywood magic. Well, not Hollywood magic, but like it becomes like magical spells that you see in Hollywood movies. The evocations, the invocations, even fucking Aleister Crowley called Christianity black magic because you're like demanding these gods. It's like watered down PG-13 paganism, if you even want to use that term. It's silly. And people are just so fucking excited about it and their own subjective weirdo interpretation about their horrible behavior that's justified by some words in a book that nobody even knows how to read. It's so silly.
All right. Well, I mean, we're over time here. So I really appreciate both of you sharing with me. We've had a very spicy evening here, I think. And so I had a great time talking with both of you about these very difficult subjects we've been talking about. So thank you for hanging in there with me. And thank all of you for hanging in there with us. If you'd like to hang in there with us some more, click one of these links.